My work friends made me pay for their expensive meals for months. At dinner, Melissa smirked. Emma always says she's not hungry when really she just can't afford it, then demanded I split their $200 bill. I stood up and said, "You're right, I can't afford it. But what you don't know is that I don't have to anymore." I pulled out my phone and showed them my banking app. My event planning side business had just hit $85,000 in annual revenue. "I've been documenting every time you've made me subsidize your meals. That's financial exploitation, and I have lawyer friends who'd love to discuss hostile work environment claims." But let me explain how we got to that moment, because this story starts months earlier when I thought these three women were actually my friends. I'm Emma, 24 years old, working as an administrative assistant at Digital Dynamics Marketing. My salary was $34,000 annually, barely enough for my studio apartment, student loans, and basic expenses. But I had what I thought were good friends at work: Melissa, Jessica, and Amanda. They were all senior account managers earning between $75,000 and $95,000, and they always included me in their Friday night outings. Here's what I didn't realize initially: they weren't including me out of friendship. They were including me because I was their personal subsidy program. The pattern was always the same. We'd go to upscale restaurants like Olive and Anchor, Meridian Bistro, or Azure Downtown. They'd order top-shelf cocktails at $18 each, premium appetizers at $22, and main courses between $45 and $65. I'd sip water and maybe nibble free bread, claiming I was on a diet or not hungry. Then came the bill, always between $180 and $250 for the four of us, and Melissa would cheerfully announce, "Let's just split this evenly, it's easier." For 6 months I paid. Every Friday, I'd hand over $50 to $70 for food I hadn't eaten and drinks I hadn't ordered, watching my checking account drain while they laughed about their shopping sprees and vacation plans. What they didn't know was that I'd been building something on the side. My administrative skills had evolved into event planning. I'd organized 3 successful office parties, my cousin's wedding, and several birthday celebrations. Word was spreading and I was earning decent money for weekend work. By December, my side business was generating $1,200 to $1,500 monthly. Melissa worked in client acquisition and earned $82,000. Jessica handled digital campaigns at $78,000. Amanda managed major accounts at $95,000. They drove luxury cars, wore designer clothes, and lived in expensive apartments. To them, our Friday dinners were pocket change. To me, they represented nearly 8% of my monthly income. The breaking point came on a particularly expensive Friday at Meridian Bistro. Melissa had landed a $50,000 client and was celebrating. Jessica had returned from a company-paid conference in Miami. Amanda had received a promotion and bonus. They ordered like queens. Melissa got the Wagyu beef tenderloin with truffle sauce at $68, plus 3 craft cocktails at $19 each. Jessica ordered the Chilean sea bass with saffron risotto at $58 and imported wine at $16 per glass. Amanda chose the lobster thermidor at $72 with premium champagne at $22 per glass. I ordered sparkling water. "Emma's being disciplined again," Melissa said with that patronizing smile I was starting to recognize. "I wish I had your willpower." "Seriously," Jessica agreed. "You're like a monk with food. It's actually impressive." Amanda leaned in conspiratorially. "Is it a money thing? Because we can always help out." The fake concern in her voice made my stomach turn. They weren't offering to help. They were drawing attention to my financial limitations while simultaneously preparing to make me pay for their excess. That's when Melissa made the comment that changed everything. "Emma always says she's not hungry when really she just can't afford it. But don't worry, we'll keep including you anyway." The bill arrived. $267 for 4 people. Melissa grabbed it without looking at the breakdown and announced, "Okay, ladies, that's $66.75 each. Emma, you good with that?" I wasn't good with that. I was done. I stood up calmly and pulled out my phone, opening my banking app. You're absolutely right, Melissa. I couldn't afford it. Past tense. I showed them the screen displaying my business checking account balance, $12,847. The table went silent. For 6 months, I've paid for your meals while drinking water and eating free bread. I documented every instance. I opened my notes app showing a detailed spreadsheet. March 15th, Olive and Anchor, $53 for your food. March 22nd, Azure, $61. March 29th, Meridian, $48. Total so far, $1,247 that I've subsidized your lifestyle. Their faces had gone pale. What you didn't know is that I've been building an event planning business. Last month alone, I earned $2,100 organizing corporate events and private parties. This month, I'm on track for $2,600. I put my phone away and picked up my purse. I also didn't mention that my roommate from college is now a labor attorney specializing in workplace harassment. She's been very interested in my stories about colleagues who exploit financial power imbalances for personal gain. Melissa tried to interrupt. Emma, we never meant... I'm not finished. My voice was steady, professional. Creating a hostile work environment through financial exploitation is actually actionable. Systematically pressuring a lower-paid colleague to subsidize higher earners' lifestyle choices, especially with witnesses present, creates what lawyers call a pattern of discriminatory conduct. I could see Jessica calculating in her head, probably realizing how many people had witnessed their behavior over the months. Here's what's going to happen. I'm paying for my sparkling water, $4, and leaving. You three can split your $263 dinner bill among yourselves. And going forward, don't include me in any more group outings. I have better things to do with my money. As I walked away, I heard Amanda hiss. She can't just leave us with this bill. But I could, and I did. Monday morning at Digital Dynamics was fascinating. Melissa, Jessica, and Amanda had clearly spent the weekend coordinating their story because they were spreading a very specific narrative. Emma had agreed to a group dinner, racked up expenses, then refused to pay her fair share and stormed out, sticking them with the bill. The problem with their story was that several people had seen us at various restaurants over the months, and they'd noticed the pattern. Marcus from IT approached me during lunch. Hey, Emma, I heard there was some drama at dinner Friday, he said carefully. What did you hear? Something about you bailing on a group bill, which seemed weird because I've seen you guys out before and you never seem to order anything. I appreciated Marcus's directness. They've been making me pay equal shares of bills for food I don't eat and drinks I don't order. Friday, I finally said no. His eyebrows shot up. Wait, you've been paying for their meals? Every Friday for 6 months, even when I only had water. That's... He paused, looking genuinely confused. That's really messed up. They make double what you do. Word spread quickly through the office, especially after Brenda from accounting corroborated my story. She'd been invited out with them twice and declined follow-up invitations because of the expensive bill-splitting expectations. By Wednesday, I was getting texts from Melissa. Emma, people are getting the wrong impression about what happened. We need to talk, I replied. People are getting the correct impression. We don't need to talk. Thursday brought a message from Jessica. You're creating drama at work over a simple misunderstanding. This is really immature. My response. The only misunderstanding was me thinking you were friends instead of people who exploited my financial situation for 6 months. Amanda tried a different approach Friday. Look, maybe we can work something out. Come to happy hour after work and we'll discuss it. I forwarded her message to my college roommate, Alex, the labor attorney. Her response was swift. Save everything. If they're trying to work something out, they know they screwed up legally. But the most interesting development came from an unexpected source. Marina from the executive floor approached me that same Friday. Emma, I saw the photos from that birthday party you organized for your cousin. The decoration was stunning. She pulled out her phone, showing Instagram screenshots. My sister is getting married next spring and looking for an event planner. Would you be interested in quoting the job? My heart raced. Marina's family owned 3 successful restaurants in the city. This could be the break my business needed. I'd love to discuss it. What size event? 200 guests, full reception. Budget is flexible for the right planner. She handed me her card. Call me Monday. And Emma, what happened with those girls at dinner? I've seen that behavior before. You handled it exactly right. That weekend, I met with Marina's sister Catherine at their family's flagship restaurant. The wedding budget was $85,000 with $12,000 allocated for planning and coordination. It would be my biggest project yet. We heard about your work from several sources, Catherine explained. Professional events, private parties, corporate functions. You've got quite a reputation for organization and attention to detail. I hadn't realized my event planning work was getting that much attention, but apparently my business Instagram had been gaining followers from successful events I'd coordinated. There's one more thing, Catherine added. We're looking for someone to handle our corporate events too. Quarterly client appreciation dinners, holiday parties, product launches. It would be steady income, probably $15,000 to $20,000 annually just from our accounts. I tried to keep my expression professional while internally celebrating. This was life-changing money. Monday morning, I submitted my wedding proposal and signed a contract for Catherine's family's corporate events. By Wednesday, I had 3 more inquiries from their business connections. Melissa, Jessica, and Amanda were watching this development with growing concern. They'd expected me to come crawling back, apologetic and grateful to be included again. Instead, I was getting congratulations from colleagues about my expanding business and networking with executive-level contacts. That Wednesday, Melissa tried a more direct approach. She cornered me in the break room. Emma, this whole thing has gotten out of hand. We're not the villains here. I looked up from my coffee. What would you call people who systematically exploit a colleague's financial vulnerability? We included you in group activities. We could have just not invited you. You included me as your personal subsidy. There's a difference. Look, her tone shifted to something almost pleading. We didn't realize how tight your budget was. Maybe we can adjust how we handle bills going forward. Melissa, I make $34,000. You make $82,000. You've always known exactly how tight my budget was. I picked up my coffee. But that's not relevant anymore. I'm not interested in going out with you. Because of money? Because you're not good people. Her face flushed. That's not fair. What's not fair is 6 months of financial exploitation followed by a smear campaign when I finally stood up for myself. Thursday brought an interesting email to my personal account from someone named David Brennan at Premier Corporate Events. He'd heard about my work through Catherine's family and wanted to discuss ongoing event coordination for his company's quarterly board meetings and annual shareholder events. The meeting was set for Saturday morning at a downtown coffee shop that screamed high-end business. David turned out to be a sharp-dressed man in his 40s who got straight to the point. Catherine's family spoke highly of your organizational skills and professionalism. We handle events for Fortune 500 clients and need someone reliable for coordination and execution. He slid a contract across the table. The numbers made me blink. $3,000 per quarterly event, $8,000 for annual events, plus bonuses for exceptional execution. With 4 quarters and 1 annual event, that alone was $20,000 yearly. We'd also need someone for client entertainment, dinners, golf events, corporate retreats, probably another $15,000 to $25,000 annually in coordination fees. I read through the contract carefully, trying not to show my excitement. This was more than doubling my current income. There's a probationary event next Friday, David continued. Board dinner for 12 people at Azure Downtown. If you can coordinate that successfully, we'll formalize the ongoing arrangement. Azure Downtown, the same restaurant where Melissa, Jessica, and Amanda had planned their next group dinner, according to office gossip I'd overheard. I'd be happy to coordinate that event, I said, signing the contract. The following Friday was delicious irony. I arrived at Azure 2 hours before the board dinner, coordinating with the catering manager and ensuring every detail was perfect. The executive dining room had been reserved, with custom menus, premium wine pairings, and elegant table settings that I'd personally selected. Melissa, Jessica, and Amanda arrived for their group dinner, being seated in the main dining room. Through the glass partition, I could see them scanning the menu with their usual entitlement. At 7 p.m., David's board members began arriving. I greeted each one professionally, handled coat check, orchestrated introductions, and ensured their evening flowed seamlessly. Melissa spotted me during the cocktail hour and did a double take. I was wearing a professional black dress and coordinating with restaurant management like I belonged there. She whispered something to Jessica, who looked over with obvious confusion. During dinner service, I moved between the kitchen, service staff, and dining room, ensuring perfect timing and presentation. The board was impressed with the attention to detail and seamless execution. As the board dinner was wrapping up with coffee and dessert, I noticed Melissa approaching. "Emma, what are you doing here?" "Working," I replied simply, checking my tablet for the evening's timeline. Are you serving tables now?" David appeared beside me. "Emma, the evening was flawless. The board was thoroughly impressed with your coordination." He handed me an envelope. "Your payment, plus a bonus for exceptional execution." Melissa's mouth fell open as she realized I hadn't been serving tables. I'd been running the evening. "Melissa, meet David Brennan from Premier Corporate Events," I said with a smile. "David, this is Melissa, one of my former colleagues." David shook her hand politely. "Emma's professionalism tonight was outstanding. We're looking forward to a long partnership." After David moved away, Melissa stared at me. "How much did they pay you?" "Enough," I said, tucking the envelope into my purse. Inside was $1,200 for the evening, plus a $300 bonus. "Emma, we should talk." "No, we shouldn't." I gathered my materials. "Enjoy your dinner. Try not to stick anyone else with the bill." Monday morning brought a new dynamic at Digital Dynamics. Word had spread about my event planning success, and several colleagues approached me about coordinating private events. More importantly, I'd received 2 more corporate contracts over the weekend. Melissa, Jessica, and Amanda were no longer spreading stories about my bill-dodging behavior. Instead, they were trying a different approach, attempting to associate themselves with my success. "Emma's always been entrepreneurial," I heard Jessica tell someone in the hallway. "We encouraged her to pursue event planning." The revisionist history was almost impressive in its audacity. But the real breakthrough came Wednesday morning. Marina stopped by my desk with news. "Emma, I mentioned your work to our regional director. They're looking for someone to coordinate all corporate events for our restaurant group. 12 locations, quarterly events, grand openings, VIP experiences. It would be a $50,000 annual contract." I nearly choked on my coffee. $50,000. Plus expenses and performance bonuses. Interested? 3 months later, I submitted my 2 weeks' notice at Digital Dynamics. My event planning business was generating $8,000 to $12,000 monthly, with contracts booked 6 months out. Melissa cornered me on my last day. "Emma, I want to apologize for how things went. We didn't handle the situation well." I looked up from packing my desk. "Which situation? Exploiting me financially or trying to destroy my reputation when I stood up for myself?" "Both, I guess." She seemed genuinely uncomfortable. "You were right to call us out." "I know. Maybe we could grab coffee sometime? Start over?" I closed my box of personal items and picked it up. "Melissa, I'm not interested in starting over with people who showed me exactly who they are when they thought I was powerless. That's not fair. People can change." Maybe they can, but I don't have to stick around to find out. 6 months later, my event planning business, Elite Occasions, had grossed $186,000. I'd moved to a downtown loft, bought a reliable car, and was building a client base of corporate executives and high-end private parties. I occasionally saw Melissa, Jessica, or Amanda at upscale restaurants around the city, usually at events I was coordinating. The dynamic had completely reversed. They were now the ones who couldn't afford the venues I was working in. The last interaction came at a corporate gala I'd organized for a tech company. Amanda was there as someone's plus one, looking uncomfortable in a dress that was clearly budget-conscious for her. "Emma, this event is incredible," she said, approaching me during cocktail hour. "You've really made something of yourself." "Thank you." I was cordial but brief, focused on ensuring the evening's success. "I heard you're making really good money now." "I'm doing well, yes." She hesitated then. "If you ever need help with anything or want to reconnect." I studied her face, seeing the calculation behind the friendly overture. "Amanda, I appreciate the offer, but I'm good. Really good." That evening's event netted me $4,500 in coordination fees. More importantly, it generated 3 new corporate contracts worth a combined $75,000 annually. Today, Elite Occasions books 6 months out and has a waiting list for premium events. I've hired 2 assistants and am considering office space downtown. Sometimes I reflect on that Friday evening at Meridian Bistro when I finally stood up for myself. Melissa, Jessica, and Amanda thought they were putting me in my place, teaching me to be grateful for their inclusion despite the financial exploitation. Instead, they forced me to recognize my own worth and capabilities. Their attempt to diminish me became the catalyst for building something far beyond what any of them achieved in their corporate positions. I learned that people who exploit your vulnerabilities when you're struggling will try to exploit your success when you're thriving. The key is recognizing that you don't owe anyone access to either your struggle or your success. Setting boundaries isn't cruel, it's essential. And sometimes the people who treat you worst when you're down become the loudest cheerleaders when you're up, hoping to benefit from the success they once mocked. I built Elite Occasions on the principle that everyone deserves respect regardless of their financial position. Every vendor gets paid promptly, every staff member gets treated professionally, and every client gets honest value for their investment. It's a principle I learned from 3 women who showed me exactly how not to treat people. And I'm grateful for that lesson, even if they never intended to teach it.